Ladies and gentlemen, our second speaker today, Jonathan Dunn. Let go of the faith. Let go of the faith. Jonathan Dunn.
Hey! You! Get in that porta potty. Mr. Contest Master, fellow Toastmasters, and most honored guests, have you ever had somebody talk to you like that before? What did you do? I was 10 years old, and I stepped in that porta potty. And when I did, that bully and his cohorts, they took that porta potty and they turned it over, leaving my shirt and my self-esteem covered in excrement. And the bullying did not stop there. It got worse. And I would spend the next 30+ years of my life trying to get out of that porta potty and find out who I was, experience community. And I wanted so bad to be loved by those other students. My parents were pillars of perfection to me, and I didn't want to stain them with my weakness. I went about finding my very own solution, inspired by Hollywood, Chuck Norris, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Sherlock Holmes, I presume, and the coup de grace, Bond, James Bond. And here's what I found out. They were already taken up, and I was going to have to be me. And I was becoming so withdrawn. Didn't want to leave my yard. My parents knew something was going on, and they decided it was time for that very first father-son talk. My father stepped into my room. He said, "Son, put your arm out." My reaction to my arm was as a defense mechanism. Not to my parents, they never laid a finger on me. And I missed this beautiful gesture of an arm extending out to me. Interestingly enough, he did what so many fathers would want to do. He had bought me a present. It's nice to see your kids smile. This is that watch. And when it went on my wrist, it was like a shot of adrenaline in my veins. Guess what? I didn't hear a single word that he said. I had an awesome, shiny distraction. It was the medicine that I needed. And for the next 30+ years of my life, materialism was my solution. I had a home in a gated community. I had the most beautiful sports car. Any electronic that you could ever want. But when those lights went off at night, I just wanted to be loved. I just wanted to love myself. The universe had other things in plan for me. And I lost everything. Outside of the shirt that was on my back. Or so I had thought. My life was quite the zoo. It was interesting then that I received a phone call inviting me on a family trip that would go to, guess what? A zoo. I accepted. Thought I might learn something. And I found myself just fixated at the gorilla exhibit. It was behind a glass partition. And I was looking at the gorilla, and this gorilla was not just looking at me. I felt like he was looking through me. Somebody understood me. And I just thought, how sad. How sad that this beautiful creature has to live its life in captivity. And I just couldn't get out of my head. And I walked away, and my knees got so wobbly, something magical was happening. And I fell, and I realized my whole life had been lived in captivity. The captivity of not letting fear inside my life. And I knew at that very stage something higher was happening. And I had to find out the answer. I certainly had plenty of the wrong answers at that point. And as a parent, it was my responsibility. I did not want it to go to my children. As I said, I was Sherlock Holmes at one point, and he said any good detective would retrace his footsteps and go back to the beginning. Started spending a lot of time with my mother and father. They invited me to Mass. I accepted. At Mass, that first morning, the preacher steps out, begins to share a story about a little girl who won a string of fake pearls that she put around her neck. And when she put that necklace on for the very first time, she felt beautiful. She didn't even take that necklace off when she got a bath. And her parents said, "Baby, why don't you take that necklace off at least when you get a bath?" And she said, "Mommy and Daddy, these are my beautiful pearls. I can't take them off. I'm pretty when I wear them." Her parents looked at one another and they sighed, and they knew they needed to have a talk. And my eyes were just fixated on the priest. This all sounded so familiar to me. Her father asked her to take the pearls off, put them in her hand, and extend out her arm. The gesture that I missed. She extended her arm out. Her father and her had made a bridge of love. He pulled her in close. He hugged her. He kissed her on her forehead. He stepped away and said, "Baby, you don't need anything fake for you to be beautiful. You are perfect just the way that you are." And as I had lost everything, I now understood what was real in my own life. That same arm that had extended out to me 30 years earlier by my father, he's in the back row today, ready to extend his arm out to me later. He just wanted to take my arm and pull me in so tight, and he wanted to lift me out of that porta potty. Toastmasters, who do you extend your arm out to every day? Who do you lift up in their time of need? That's the power that can change this universe, Mr. Contest Master.